I live in a country that's a melting pot of races and cultures. And this diversity can make us pretty tolerant of each other. And sometimes not so much. One thing that has always affected me in our space is the way that people view my hair.
So I went through like maybe 2 or 3 years where I was straightening my hair, which just didn't make sense to me really. And then I started growing locks when I was about 15. When I was about 18, I cut it all off, 18 or 19, I cut it all off. And then I went to live in Jamaica, and then I started growing back my hair. And it's interesting that growing locks in Jamaica was always a very strange engagement. You know, like I would get lots of love from Rasta brethren, but then like on the campus, you know, there would be women who would come up to me and go, "But your hair is so pretty. Why are you doing that with it?" You know? And so, you know, there was always this kind of, you know, challenge from people who did not see locks as a sort of mainstream beauty statement. It's very interesting, you know, I have lots of European friends, I have lots of white friends, and they're always like, "Your hair is so amazing, your hair is so fascinating, you know, you can do so much with it." And you know, this is the exact opposite of what you hear from people here, which is that, you know, you can't do nothing with natural hair. It's, you know, you just have to put it back in one, or you have to straighten it so that you can do things with it. You know, and that is not my experience at all. You know, I could wear it up, I could wear it down, I could wear it sideways. I could point it in the direction of things. It could look like clouds one day, it could look like squiggliness the next day. It could do anything. And, you know, it's like how we get to this point where we have allowed somebody else to make us feel uncomfortable in our own skin and in our own hair. And we don't even question that. We don't even challenge it.
When I was around 3 or 4, I had a ras. My grandmother on my father's side, which is the Portuguese side, they weren't too happy about that. When my father and my mother divorced, we moved to my grandmother's house, and she shaved out all our heads. When my hair started to grow out, like just when it was like an inch or so, they put relaxer in it. So like between that transition from ras to my natural hair, I never had that. So I went straight into relaxer up until I was 18. From the time there was any sort of like growth, new growth, she would make me relax or get to relax like at a hairdresser or something. Cause she used to complain like, I can't do your hair. I can't do this late for school hair, you know. But my other cousins, they had like softer hair, like more curly coils, and I had more kinky hair. I still have this battle with taking care of my own, like my natural hair, because I never had the opportunity to feel out how it is. Like I always felt like, you know, like I wish my hair was that long. I wish my hair was like that. Like I never felt a connection to my hair. My grandmother actually used to refer to my hair and my brother's hair as goat shit. Yeah, she's like, it looks like goat shit running down a hill.
My hair was relaxed for like 5 years for secondary school, and I got fed up of it because my hair was always thick and long and curly, and it never used to stay straight, so I just stopped. My mother, she's mixed. All of us are mixed. When she was younger, they used to tell her, make children that you can tell them go out and not come in. So that when it means like, if you have a girl child and you comb in her hair and your hair long, you have to tell them lean forward, as opposed to if you have short hair, lean back. So she used to tell us that, and she is still very much into long hair.
I didn't really like my hair growing up because I lived with my 2 sisters and they're both mixed. So I used to feel really insecure about it because the hair would be much softer and easier to comb, and my mom would always have like a much more difficult time trying to manage my hair. So yeah, I used to feel really insecure about it.
literally been called everything from hardhead, China green, patch, Nigerian, name anything. I remember it had a particular part of secondary school where I actually relaxed my hair a little bit. That's to tell you kind of how bad the nap was, for a better word to use, the nap, you know, like, because it was extremely nappy. Like, I remember my Spanish teacher always used to be like, Jelani, please take a haircut. And I just used to be like, well, why though? You know, to the point where I just treated it and I was like, well, forget this. I mean, I just felt insecure and pressured about it, to be honest. Like, if people keep telling you about it every day, obviously you'll feel a kind of way, you know, so.
When girls are coming into their sense of themselves and their sense of their beauty, you suddenly say to them, okay, so I know people, when they pass common entrance, their reward was to have their hair straightened. Now, this is an insane thing to do to children, to little black girls, because it's immediately saying to you that the thing that defines your face the most, in some cases, is ugly and unnatural, and you have to do something to change it so that you can be acceptable. And to do that to girls just as they're coming into puberty, just as they're coming into the sense of themselves, that's mental torture. We like curly hair, but we only like a certain kind of curl. It can't be too tight. So, you know, like this is too tight. If I was a little dougla, that would be okay, you know, because then, you know, I'll have good hair.
I remember the first time after I chopped off my braids and I came and I was rocking my short little do for the first time, my supervisor, who is Negro, whose hair is relaxed, she turns to me and she says, "What happened? You didn't comb your hair today?" And I couldn't understand. I was just like, but yes, like I did a bantu knot twist out that I saw on YouTube, you know, that like everybody doing this like hair movement now, and I wanted to be part of that. And you know, so I was just like, yes. And she's just like, not me and all late for school here. And she said, my son don't have that kind of hair, thank God. And I was so appalled. I was just like, first of all, this is the workplace. Second of all, you are just as Negro as I am. Just because a little chemical in your hair don't make you any difference. And she actually brought it up with my boss. And because she said it looks unprofessional, it looks unkempt, it looks dirty. So I couldn't understand how the hair that was growing out of my own scalp is a problem.
I remember a day the supervisor just walked in and he was like, well, okay, so what we gonna do about the hair? So I was just like, well, what that's supposed to mean? You know, so he was like, just neaten it up for me, you know? So I was like, but what is neat though? And he just proceeded to say, well, you know, your hair, like I understand you want to express yourself, etc., but you know, your hair is a deterrent. And I was like, but deterrent to who? You know, like who am I deterring with my hairstyle, you know?
I've had situations where I feel like, and this is where I'm in a position of authority, where I feel like people don't want to take instruction from somebody who looks like me. So because I have that ahead, and you know, I just wear rubber slippers, and but yeah, that's the kind of situation that I've had where people who are actually in a subordinate position have said things like, you must do something with your hair, you know, because that's not professional. I was like, yeah, but you know what? I can do my job really well, and until such day as my hair starts writing, you know, starts typing on the computer and starts responding to you in meetings, you can't tell me what to do with my hair.
Many years it took, now we found the natural look. No more hot coat to press we here, no more bleach with Jamaica stay. It's high time that we get rid of the old slave mentality.
Somebody told me, she said, she commented on how I look. She said I look nice. And then she said, people like you is the kind of people the white man or the slave master would have liked, because he would feel less guilty for liking a black girl. I mean, this is all colonialism coming back to haunt us. You know, we still exist in a very in a society that values whiteness, or as close to whiteness as possible, or as close to not blackness as possible. And so, unfortunately, you know, we still very much don't like the things about us that make us black.
At slave markets, they used to shave your head. Same way you shave a sheep or any other animal that you are herding. And that was a kind of way to break your spirit, because like a lot of people resonate here with identity, and other people don't. But you could clearly tell by the texture of someone's hair what race they are, right? And in other cultures, hair is your beauty. And if you take that off, if you shave that, if you tell somebody that is dirty, or your hair is dirty, or unprofessional, or wild, or unruly, or unkempt, or like any of those negative terms that you attach to someone's hair, you know, that breaks your spirit, and especially as a woman. So how can you change something, or even begin to change something that is so deeply embedded into society from so long ago, before we were even born? How can you begin to even talk about something like that? People of our same race buy into, my hair is not good enough because I'm not good enough. I'm not beautiful if my hair has a few kinks, or if it's cottony.
Like in secondary school, mostly primary school, it was just hell. Because apart from being always the tallest and the longest, this is all this long hair. And I remember my grandmother, because every day I just go home crying because children are so mean. And I remember her telling me, and a few of the teachers was like, oh, don't take it on the children, just jealous of your hair. And I couldn't understand, like, why is this a thing? Why are you all being this way? And I specifically remember, I think it was like after writing an essay or waiting for results or something. So one of the girls specifically said to me, I was just always jealous of you because you had long hair. And I was like, what? You made my life a living hell for this. And it bothered me for so long. I was like, why would you do this to somebody? I guess it goes back to the whole self-hatred and denial. It's lots of denial. So more or less, like, if you have all these images that constantly keep telling you to hate yourself, and yourself isn't good enough. Western standards is still the standard of beauty, then I could understand why black people in particular are the ones who hate themselves the most and would continuously down other people who look like themselves. We presume that people know that our society is very color-struck, and those divisions are direct exports from enslavement times, you know, and the whole thing about, okay, if you're black, stay back, if you're brown, stick around, if you're white, it's all right. I mean, you know, our society is based on that. You know, we still have something called agency brown in Trinidad, where, you know, if you're like the right shade of brown, so you're not like too black to be offensive, and you're not like too red. If you're just that, you know, like racially indeterminate, you know, nice looking, you mix up, so, you know, like, you're not too Indian, you're not too African, you're not too nothing, right? You're just like that perfect mix of Trini, which is dotishness. we like to have that kind of always one family, you know, and my, you know, which doesn't necessarily say that we are sophisticated racially. It just says that lots of people in our ancestry liked having sex with each other. And, you know, and those sexual relationships, many times they were not consensual, or those sexual relationships sometimes were also engaged with because you didn't want to marry somebody who was too black, so that, you know, to curse your future generations in this, you know, in this paralysis of blackness. You know, there's lots of things about how we ended up looking the way that we look that we haven't really investigated, you know, and we need to investigate why people would prefer to talk about their Scottish great grandparent who was probably a rapist than to talk about their very black grandmother. You know, those are the kinds of conversations that we need to have, and those things definitely then feed into how we feel about our hair and how we feel about our skin.
Hear them both to their friends and their neighbor, and watch them leave. I'm carried back fortunately, so let's shine your curly. But the baby black come to the eyeball, they see Africa at all, at all, at all, at all. I said the baby black come to the eyeball, they see Africa at all.
There was this time in school where curly hair girls were the thing. Curly hair, light skin girls, but then it trickled down to just curly hair. And when I mean curly, like Douglas, nothing past Douglas hair. And my hair never resembled that. It was short, it was picky, it was relaxed. And I found like men of my own race never looked at me as beautiful, not only because I had the color, you know, but I didn't have the hair, I didn't have the full package. It kind of defeats you, kind of make you feel like, what's wrong with me that my own wouldn't want me? It's like, your mom looks like this too. You don't like your mother?
For me growing up, it was always the over-sexualization of being mixed. Because for years I'd always hear, I would have children with you because you mix and you make nice babies. And I'd be like, what? That's not okay though, that's not something you tell a child. I used to feel really insecure about it. I used to feel ugly, I don't know why. And my grandfather used to say the same thing too. He used to be like, oh, you're nice and you have good hair and you find a nice husband and work in the bank. And I was like, what? That's not something cool though. Like I would meet white men and have interesting conversations, and I started to wonder, do they actually like me? Is it because I'm the acceptable black with soft hair? I'm from the Caribbean, so I'm exotic. So it's like, always wonder that.
My ex actually would always talk to me about relaxing my hair. Like I had a boyfriend at this time, and he would always say whenever my hair started getting really kinky at the ends, you know, you have to put back in the relaxer, and he would always remind me, when are you going to do your hair? So yeah, I've experienced that, and I felt a little bit insecure. So I think that's why after we broke up, I just decided to go back natural.
Well, the girlfriend I'm with right now, I remember I had an instance where she wanted me to meet her parents, and like, so I met her dad and everything was cool. And well, she's a Doga girl, by the way. And like, as soon as I left her house, she messaged me and she was like, well, her dad say, well, what the hell is that I have on my head? So I proceeded to say, well, what did you say? And she was like, well, you know, I tried to defend you, etc. But to me, it's like, what is it about my hair that could like possibly offend somebody, you know? Like, and where did this whole ideology of hair being offensive even started from? You know what I mean? To the point where that turned into a whole issue for me, and she wanted to break up, and I was like, you seriously want to break up with somebody because of the hair? You know, that was like kind of a far-fetched situation, you know? Like, that's a little bit of a stretch, you know?
I'm not mad at any black man. Bless them. They have a lot to deal with, in as much as I have a lot to deal with. Indian women have been the ideal in our society. Perhaps more so than white women. Indian women have been seen as the ideal in our society for a long time, and that's I don't have anything against Indian women for that. I mean, that's not their fault. It's not their fault that that our colonial culture has fetishized them. You know, that's not their fault. On the other hand, we have to develop a different level of political sophistication, where as women who work together, I mean, you know, like I know there are light-skinned women who are like, yeah, black women just jealous of me because I'm hot, you know, and it's like, yeah, I have a black man, yeah, they're just jealous of me because I'm hot. I was like, no, it's not that, honey, it's not that. You could take the man. It is the perception of constant rejection from your own.
A parent needs to tell their child that you are beautiful in your natural state and you shouldn't change anything about yourself. It doesn't have to get preachy. It could just be like the books you choose to introduce to children. Let us see ourselves more. And the more we see ourselves, we'll be able to accept ourselves in its entirety. Just as another hair type is so normal to society, and it shouldn't be like a big shock to see an afro, I think we need to reach that stage where it's not like this big thing to see a big afro and somebody is like gaping at it.
I don't know what other people have to go through. I don't know if they have that support system. I don't know if they have that place in themselves that they could go to feel a little bit of betterness. I can only wish that for everybody, that they if they can't find their sense of beauty from within themselves, that somebody one day will come and say, you know, you're beautiful, you know, you're nice. And you're not nice for a darkie, you're just nice. And I like that.
Well, that's
Okay.